For those that come in early, press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10. Put it in the chat so I'll know that you can hear me, and everyone else that may see this later on will know that others can hear me as well, even if they claim that they can't. Now, a few interesting topics, which I'm going to have to spread these topics out. Now, I want to remind those of you to be tactful with your opinions if you decide that you want to comment on Elon Musk presenting Tesla's tiny homes. Now, the reason why this is so epic for me is because, like I stated before in previous videos, that a lot of people don't know the specifics about being a homeowner. One being the TAX that you have after you finally purchase it. Now, I've heard that some individuals pay up to $5,000. And so that puts me in the mind state of, you mean to tell me after you spend a whole lifetime of paying $3,000 in mortgage, you still have to pay mortgage after it's purchased? And so this is the reason why tiny homes has been in my mental Rolodex for a while. Now, we've seen some individuals attempt to create their versions of tiny homes. Of course, there's factors into these homes. Now, one being where you gonna park it. And so it becomes a thing. Those of you that have mobile homes, trailers, maybe even some have tiny homes, you know that the place where that home is parked on or brought to has to also be paid for. So when we have those variables um, in the conversation, we want to make sure that if you comment, that it's something that is thought-provoking, just in case. You don't know who will see it, so your opinions matter. So if you are someone that has thought about purchasing a tiny home or uh, living in a mobile home or a trailer or something like that, then what are some of the key factors that people need to think of? If you feel comfortable enough to put it in the chat, then do so, because your opinion matters. If these individuals that are thinking about mass producing these type of living quarters see this, your opinion matters. Now, one, for me, is the time. A good and a bad thing. You think if something could be built in one day, how durable is it? Because I've watched it. Now, I haven't done too much research on it, but I've watched it from to its entirety. So that means from the beginning to the end. And someone mentioned in this video that it only takes one day to put these things up. Are they durable? Are they safe? Of course, these are things that we want to know. Built-in furniture, how would that play out in the long run? Now, we've seen the collapsible beds, the ones that come out the wall and things of that sort. It's about minimizing, right? Minimizing your living space so you can live more comfortably for a reasonable price. Now, when you start talking about retirement and you start adding variables in, like low income and things of that sort, it 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 kind of addresses a problem. And these are things that people already do. People, they make encampments, they build their own sturdy foundation so they can live in it. And, the city will come through and take it down or whatever. But these are things that people have already explored. Now, the containers, I feel like that's not a safe thing unless you have adequate ventilation. So, I'm not into the whole container thing. But the tiny homes is something that um, I could see in my future. And which brings me to another point. Is this the wave of the future? Do you see your children's children or someone else's children, employees, finding these homes, because that's what they are, reliable and something of interest? Under $10,000. That's a good thing. So in the video, they talked about people that own land, renting out their land, their property, for people to live in these tiny homes, which they look like they're futuristic. You got big spacious windows, you have opaque glass and things of that sort. So it's like, to me, having a wall of glass or plexiglass or whatever it is something that I don't want. That's too much. You looking at me, I'm looking at you. But for some people, it may be doable depending on where they choose to put it. It definitely adds a different feel to living. Now, what I see is it being the wave of the future for the ones up and coming, because these are the ones that are not thinking about having to pay mortgage and things of that sort. I also see individuals choosing to not have children at a young age because they want to live their lives. Okay, my era was one where to see someone pregnant at 16, 15, 14, 13 was common. Now, you don't see it too much. You may see someone have a child at a young age, but then they'll stop at one, okay, for a while. And that's a smart thing to do. So let's talk about that. I see that they are presenting something else. When I get off of this live, I'm going to go check it out, because this is something that I'm interested in. Is roughly $8,000 for a tiny home something you feel is doable? What are the variables? What'll stop you from doing it? What makes you want to do it? When you think about the economy and you think about being a homeowner, would this be something that you would put your home up for sale for? Because as a single person, especially for women, females, when you start talking about the pipes in the walls, the lawns, um, having to replace washing machines, dryers, ventilations, HVAC systems, and all of this stuff. These are things that people don't talk about. Homeowners know about it, but when they're in that position, they don't say, let me upload a video and tell people that this is one of the things that is the downside about being a homeowner. Now, we both know that when you purchase something, after it's paid for, it starts to depreciate. So that means they already done did the research and they know how long you gonna live in this domain before things start to break down. Okay? And so you get in there, you find out you got aluminum pipes and this and that, and it's rusted, all of this, and the water pressure is low, you need to replace the shower heads, all kind of things that made you love this domain when you first got it. Now we're realizing, those of us that are close to 50 or are above, that have owned homes or that are currently in homes, that our children don't necessarily want our problem, our dream. So that means even if, when you decide to go to the man upstairs, there's a strong possibility that that home that you love so much will be sold. They're looking at it saying, this is broke, that is broke, yada, yada, yada. We need to do something different. And so, come out of there. Go in. And so, take that into consideration, because a lot of times we purchase these homes for longevity. That means we want our children to take care of these homes eventually. Hold on. We do it for the family aspect. But when you're thinking about inflation and how everything costs so much, right? You're thinking about that. Will they be able to take care of the property? Now, I've spoke about my father multiple times, more than several times, um, being a content creator with my podcasts, with my videos. He was a homeowner. Um, First and foremost, a lot of these homes are built quick. If you get a new home, it's built quick. It's not as sturdy as the ones that have been here for decades. Then you start thinking about things like the pipes. This has been here since my grandmother was a child. How safe is it? These are things that we ask ourselves, um, and we tend to want to go for something new. Then you find out that the pipes ain't that sturdy, reliable, in these new homes. Hold on. And because of this, you find yourself running into problems. So I see no one is really commenting about the tiny homes. Is it because you're just interested in what I have to say, or you don't see it in your future? You don't see it as doable. Anything under 10,000 is doable when you talk about having a home. Last time I checked, a 3-bedroom home, when you go to purchase it, it's like 250,000, depending on where you're at. Living in a gated community, you're talking about 3,000 and more. 3,000 and more. So 10,000, 3,000. 10,000, 250,000. You start thinking you don't need that much house. And then what happens to all of these properties that no one wants? The price of them go down. So do we spark the new wave by saying we want to downsize? We're going to try Tesla's tiny homes because we want things to be reasonable. So when you got a mass amount of people saying we rather do this, you know what happens? The system changes. And so because they're putting it out in the air where it's fair, where they're saying some of these homes are going to be for the less fortunate, that means there's already going to be a fraction of individuals that get these homes automatically. And I am someone that is a fan of Elon Musk because I think he's innovative. I think that he is brilliant. And the fact that he came out and said that he is on the spectrum is even more phenomenal, because he's normalizing these type of issues and saying, I am a man of change. And because I see things different, we're going to do things different. That's a phenomenal man. Okay? They say iron sharpens iron, so that means you have to be where someone is sharp for you to be affected by it. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think? Do you think tiny homes are the wave of the future. The way they presented it, it seems like it's doable. When they had that sky sky view, that drone view of all of the mobile homes, the bus style homes, and they're all parked side by side, we already know that it is a certain group of individuals that would prefer to live like that. But when you see a tiny home and you see how it's built, it's built for you. It's built to be functionable. And because it's built that way, that means you're going to have all the state of the art stuffs, you know, and of course we want to know how long it's going to last, right? Somewhere I seen where when you purchase one of these new homes, the first person in it is the one that is the guinea pig. After the first person lives in it for X amount of years or months or whatever, they start to notice different things about what happens with the home. Okay. And so they are the deciding factor on if these new homes are marketable or if they're even worth purchasing. We all know that we got the brick homes, the cobblestone homes. Everybody's trying to find the best fit for their lifestyle. And when you started talking about a home, you want something that's going to last for eternity. And so, we have these different types, bricks, cobblestones, or whatever, because everybody feels like these are the ones that are going to last. So as we evolve, we start thinking different about the foundations and things that we need. And then you have some that say, look, I know that I'm not going to be able to purchase this home. I'm 50, I'm 60. I just want to have a place where I can go home. I know it's not doable, but it's mine. That's another fraction of individual that are already cognizant that they're not going to be able to pay off a $300,000 home at 50 years old. Okay? I mean, unless you're wealthy. And then, if you're wealthy, why not just have it built? Some people have their homes built. I know that's very popular for the South. So I just wanted to touch on the Elon Musk presents Tesla's tiny homes, because when I seen it, I said, this is it right here. Now we'll either get a tiny home. That's up for question. That is it.